Hello and welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scout, and it's exciting news. FPL is finally back, as you can see on screen. So myself and Neale are going to react, discuss what's new, what's not new as well. But first of all, I better say hello. How are you doing, Neale?
Very excited, Andy. Yeah. This is. I thought we kind of expected something this week, but we weren't exactly sure when it was. But there's a lot to dissect, isn't there, from that announcement that's just come up?
Yeah, I mean we've been waiting. Basically, we've been waiting for the fixtures because they kind of said that was the going to be
Yeah.
the kicker for the game launching, and so they came out last night, kind of low key actually. I just saw a random tweet from someone I don't even follow to say the fixtures were out, and I thought, well, I've not seen this anywhere else. So I was hoping, yeah, it would be today. So as you can see on screen, I've got my team up there just to kind of show you that it's reopened. The fixtures are in there. What's kind of new then? What have we seen that's new that wasn't there before?
Well, I guess the headline is the fact that there's going to be unlimited transfers. I think that's pretty much caught most people's eye. It was always a possibility. There's people in both camps who think it should or shouldn't happen. Probably depending on how well the seasons are doing and how many chips have played already. But yeah, unlimited transfers until what is going to be called Gameweek 30 plus. So instead of adding Gameweek 39 to 47 deadlines, they have retitled these additional game weeks, Gameweek 30 plus, Gameweek 31 plus, and so on, all the way through to Gameweek 38 plus. So yeah, you can make as many changes as you want up until that deadline on June 17th, which is the first two fixtures that are outstanding from the Carabao Cup cancellations. So yeah, you can go crazy on transfers without the risk of any players changing in prices as well. FPL have said that there won't be any of those until the deadline for Game Week 30 plus has passed. Still got to be careful, of course, because you'll have sale value in a lot of the players you've got. For example, De Bruyne. You don't want to be swapping him out and then realizing you can't buy him back. And I guess, yeah, I think the main story is that there's going to be game weeks for every match week that there is between now and the end of the season. So it looks like that there's only going to be one double, which is the very first game week back, and that is, of course, Aston Villa, Sheffield United, Arsenal, and Manchester City are going to have two fixtures in what is called double game week 30 plus, and the rest of the season should be just normal single game weeks, unless, of course, there's any postponements related to coronavirus or otherwise. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
Yeah, only one double game week is a bit disappointing, I suppose, if you've kept your chips. The game week thing, I mean, I don't like it. I'm sure there's a reason, maybe even like a coding reason or something, why
Yeah,
it's game week
there's
30
that.
plus and not 30 or 39. But I guess going back to what they were before, rather than having the 39 to 47 or whatever it would have been, probably makes a little bit more sense. So now it's back. There was a lot of discussion about unlimited transfers. I always thought it was going to be a possibility. I was kind of not on the fence about whether I thought it was a good idea. I kind of geared towards giving it. Like, what do you make of it
Yeah.
now it's back? Do you think it's kind of fair? Are you happy to see that they've done that? Do you think, because there has been
I,
3 months without football. Like a
yeah.
lot has kind of changed.
I think I was probably 60-40 in favour of it happening. I mean, I've got a lot of my chips still intact. I've still got my wild card. I've still got my free hit and bench boost as well. So probably in my interest, it would have been best for unlimited transfers not to have been given, because I would have had the advantage of playing a wild card or possibly free hitting for this double and then preparing for the rest of the season. But I think obviously from a tactical point of view, it's good that they've done this because they're going to get more people interested in their site. A lot of people who were perhaps losing a bit of interest in FPL because the seasons weren't going so well now have a chance to overhaul the squads entirely if they want. And I think probably the thing that swung it for me was that the way the fixtures have fallen after the rescheduling kind of punishes slow wildcarders, so that the managers who were active during the downtime may have been slowly transferring players in and out to build for the season as a whole. So they might have been getting in players like, for example, Fernand, players like Aubameyang, Mahrez, Grealish, in preparation for game week 30 to 38 as a chunk of games. So they wouldn't have known that there was double game week up first. None of us did. So really, the sort of teams who are best prepared for game week 30 plus are the ones who just left it after game week 29 because they would have stocked up presumably on Man City assets, on Arsenal assets. So I think I am slightly in favour of it happening. I wouldn't have been bothered either way, to be honest. But I do think it makes sense. There's been so much has changed in the interim in terms of not just fixtures, but players coming back from injury that we didn't have, and it is going to revitalise interest in the game. I think if they do it, so that's probably why they've done it rather than any kind of fairness issue. So yeah, it's there's people going to be unhappy either way. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
You've seen that already on Twitter. So
We
they're damned if they do, they're damned if they didn't. So
yeah, we should kind of, from what we understand with how the chips can be played, though, and this is why I think people that have got chips who don't want this because they waited. I can't believe they don't think they're in a good position. So I'll just quickly explain from what we gather. So you get unlimited transfers. You can still play your bench boost or your triple captain. You can't play both, but you can play one of. So, for example, let's say you've got a wild card left and you're not happy because now people like me without a wild card can do unlimited transfers. If you've got all of them, you can basically treat this like a free hit, get all the double game week players in you want. You can use your bench boost, so you've got a free wild card to go straight into a bench boost, and then you can wild card out of it. You can wild card straight out of it, and you've still got your free hit to go mental or whatever you want at the end of the week. So the free hit can, as you can see on my screen, because it's kind of interesting, the free hit is also live. Now, this wouldn't usually be live in game week 1 because obviously there's no point in free hitting. So what you can do, like if you're in a position like me where you don't have a wild card, if I'm happy with this team going forward, and to be honest, like it's so, we're reacting so quickly. I haven't had a proper look at the fixtures yet. But let's say from game week 31 plus, I was happy with this team. I could potentially free hit in game week 30 plus. I'm just going to call it game week 30. I don't like the plus. In game week 30 to get all the double game week players in and then keep my team afterwards. But obviously that is a decision I have to make. So I'm not even, like you said, I'm not even going to get into the fairness thing, but I think those with chips who think they're at a disadvantage, I don't see it. I think you're at a big advantage. Like, again, we're obviously reacting, so it's quick to it. But what's your initial thoughts with yours? Are you going to just go for the double game weeks, then wild card out, do you think?
I will do it. It's just how I do it. I think that free hit thing was a real curveball. I could have predicted a lot of that statement today, but I did not see that coming whatsoever. So I wonder if that's been thrown in there as a kind of reward for people who did slow wild card during the downtime. So managers who were happy with their squad going into the final 9 game weeks, all of a sudden have been thrown a double game week that they weren't expecting. They could then free hit, as you said, there in double game week 30, and then have their game week 38 squad back for 31 plus. So I guess it gives everyone a chance to do something different, regarding of the positions that they were in, and still have a competitive squad out in game week 30 plus. So, I'll go fairly big on the double game week, as I don't think it'll be like a full complement of 3 from each team. It's just whether or not what approach I'll do to get there, because I've already got De Bruyne, I've already got Egan, already got Aubameyang, Saka, people like that. So I've already got a handful of double game week players to start with. It's just whether I think it's better using unlimited transfers now versus free hitting. That's a decision I've got to make, and I sense I might be thinking about that for a good while yet. But what about thinking about yourself? Because I guess you're in a slightly different position because you've already used your wild card. And your bench boost, is that right? You've only got is it the free hit?
Yeah, I've literally just got the free hit left, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm guessing are you unlimited transferring and then...
I don't know. I said this before because I think, anytime I gave my opinion on it, it was, well, you've got no chips left, that's why you would want it. But I actually think it's really difficult to do the unlimited... It's not difficult, it just obviously provides a slightly different challenge that if I use my unlimited transfers and go... I either have to decide to go big for the double game week, but then how do I get out of that? I have to make a lot, because I don't want triple Aston Villa. I barely... their fixtures really aren't that great after the double. So I'm not even sure if I want Grealish, although he is quite good value. Triple Man City, of course, Man City are a great team. I'm just looking at the fixtures here. After the double, it's Chelsea away, Liverpool at home, which is not ideal. Yes, granted, they're one of the best teams in the league. They can put goals past both those sides. But do I necessarily want to triple up? Because not only have they not got great fixtures, there's also a lot of money. And then you can't get Liverpool players and stuff in. So it's actually kind I've already got 2 Wolves players. I've only got 1 Man City, so if I don't want to carry them forward, I wouldn't have to. I don't have to load up with kind of Sheffield United. Like, another example, and this is very much specific for my team, but I'm sure a few people are in a situation similar. One of the transfers I made during the slow wildcard was Henderson to Leno. Now, I'd probably rather have Leno for the rest of the season, but not for the double game week. So again, it might actually be worthwhile for me to free hit, and then just try and play it from there. So I just think if I use essentially the wild card, the unlimited transfers, I'm going to have to kind of half and half it. I'm going to have to try and think about the remaining 8 game weeks and also try and think about the double, and I'm not sure that's what I want to do. Like, I've got triple Man United. Do I want triple Man United for Spurs away? I mean, I'm okay with it, but wouldn't necessarily want it. But after that, Sheffield United, Brighton, Bournemouth, I want them then. So actually, the more I talk about it out loud with you, the more I'm thinking, if you've only got a free hit and you're happy with your team, it might actually be worth keeping it. So it's going to be tough, like you say. It's going to be. I think if you've got your chips, you just go full for the double game. But you use the bench boost this week, and you just wildcard out of it. I think that's because you've only got like 8 weeks to play. Like I can't really. I don't know. Can you see any other way of playing it if you've got all the chips? Because it's a lot to use in just 9 game weeks.
Yeah, and another sort of factor that you might want to consider is that there's a slim chance that the season might not even finish. I mean, if there's some kind
of
of
course.
second wave of this disease, so is there a thought to using your chips as early as possible to maximise your chances of getting returns out of them? Because if you saved it till game week 38 plus, it might not come around. But yeah, that's something else entirely. But yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think it kind of what you were saying earlier about unlimited transfers helping everybody and not necessarily punishing those with the chips intact kind of holds true, because you're still in a dilemma now. You have to decide whether to focus on a double game week or the rest of the season. You can't really do both. You can sort of do halfway houses, but obviously people with chips can wildcard straight away. They can free hit. So it's just, I think everyone is in a better situation now than what they were. And those with chips intact are even in a better position than what they were. So I think it's a decent move, a political move probably to get most traffic on our site. But I think just let's make the best of it, because we'll just be grateful it's back, because it's been away for so long, and we never thought we'd be in a position to play this again this season. So
yeah, exactly. A lot of people asking in the chat, like, where is this confirmed, and like whether we've got it right. We're pretty sure we've got it right. I don't think it's actually been confirmed, but it would make sense because they kind of said the chips would be available, and the fact that my free hit is highlighted, that's what I'm going to assume. They're not going to let me free hit and do my unlimited transfers. That would just be too good. So
you said that's highlighted in your chip selection. So this isn't an error, because ordinarily in game week 1 you would not be able to play your free hit or your wild card. Now, you still can't play a wild card, but you can play a free hit. So we're thinking that you can't try and be a clever dick and then make the transfers.
Now that would be
good.
good.
Play a free hit. Yeah, because I think the free hit just cancels all your transfers anyway. So
yeah, unless they've reworked how that works, then that's got to be how it's done. Like I would say just keep checking Twitter. I'm sure they'll put out a few tweets officially announcing at some point. Just kind of away from, well, obviously the game launching is all part of it. How do you feel, not how do you feel, but how do you think the 5 subs rule, is it going to affect the way you build your squad, do you think? Because on one hand, you could look at it that managers are going to rotate more, but I'm kind of taking it from the idea that they might play a few more consistent 11s, potentially just manage minutes more. So, for example, someone like Aguero, okay, he might not get 90 minutes twice in a row, but he might get 60 minutes twice in a row. Like, how is that going to affect your kind of team selection at all, do you think?
I think it will partly. I'm doing a series of articles at the moment on the site about who are the most secure starters. Now, we don't know for certain, and there's been a 3-month break since we last saw a ball kicked, so managers might have completely different ideas. But, you can kind of second guess who are going to be more nailed picks. The likes of centre-halves, for example, rarely get substituted off. The likes of Maguire, likes of Van Dijk, goalkeepers, of course, they're pretty much nailed between the posts. And just look to previous examples through the season when players have not just started a lot of games, but not been hauled off in many of them. Timo Pukki is a good example. of someone who's nailed when fit. He started every game he's been available for this season, and they've got some decent home fixtures coming up. So someone like him would factor into my thoughts. Someone like John Fleck as well for the double, perhaps. He started every game when available, and I think he's only been substituted once through injury. So you think he would last the 90 minutes. Now, of course, they've got an extra 2 substitutions to use per match, so you're going to see more of these players coming off. But I do think what you said there is probably going to be true more than not. I think there won't be a raft of changes in between matches from one lineup to the next, with the exception of probably Brighton, Man City, and maybe one or two others. But a lot of these teams still have games, something to play for. So there's 6 or 7 teams at the bottom fighting for their lives, a cluster of clubs at the top fighting for Champions League spots. So with the proviso of the season not even guaranteed to finish, as we said there, I mean, they'll want to get as many points as possible straight away, just on the off chance that the season gets cancelled, and then we're on a points per match evaluation type thing. So I don't know if there'll be a great deal of changes in between games, with the exception of the clubs I mentioned there, the ones we're accustomed to seeing rotation. And as you said, I think it'll be more minute management within games itself for the real top players. So yeah, I will factor it in. It's not going to stop me from getting someone like De Bruyne for the double game week, but it will possibly shape a backbone of my squad. You'd want about 6 or 7 starters who you knew were going to play on any given game week. The problem is, of course, the other thing to mention, which is slightly different, is like a strong bench. Now, I do think you need one because the press conferences are going to be all over the place, and we might get undeclared injuries, things like that. But I suspect what we'll see now, and this has been widely touted as well, is that we'll see more one-pointers and fewer duck eggs, because there'll be 5 substitutions a match, 16 players being used from a squad. So I think there'll be fewer jammy vice captaincy selections going on, because a lot of these big players will get minutes of some variety in most games, I would suspect, even if they are benched. Given that half of the outfielders starting the game will be replaced or could be replaced. So yeah, I think the bench thing is important because of the possibility of coronavirus striking any of these players and the lack of press conference information. But in terms of actual substitutions, I can only assume that's going to make the one-pointers a lot more common than the 0-pointers.
Yeah, that's actually. I mean, if I'm not free hitting, then I've kind of stuck with what I've got now, which is a playing bench. But if I was using unlimited transfers, especially for the double game, I'd probably be tempted to go super cheap, because I do think you're going to get a lot of cameos. Obviously, the flip side is not always in-game management, like you said. There will be a chance that players miss out and we don't hear about it. And it is worth noting as well that and I hope I've got this right because I've said it a few times now, but yes, managers can make 5 subs, but they can still only substitute 3 times. I think that's correct. So they can, with 10 minutes to go, they're winning 1-0. They can't make a substitute every 2 minutes, like 5 times. They have to only do it 3 times because there would be just a ridiculous amount of time wasting. So I don't know if that will really change things much. I saw a good thread by a guy called Neale Murray, which looked at the Bundesliga and kind of said that they did initially use quite a few, then it went down a bit and then started creeping back up. And actually the big teams kind of substituted a little bit less in the Bundesliga than the lower teams, which I was a little bit surprised about at first because I felt like they've got more squad depth, they'd want to rotate, but then I guess lower down teams might want to try and change things up because they're losing or whatever it might be. So obviously we're going to have to wait a couple of game weeks to find out how the teams in the Premier League do it. It might be completely different, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. Just really quickly before we finish, are there any kind of like must-haves or differentials you've been looking at, especially for like the double game week? Like, are you going to be tripling up on City? Which 3 are you going to go for, do you reckon?
City, I haven't given much thought to yet. I think the only person who's guaranteed to be in there is De Bruyne, and I'll have to maybe a straight choice between Aguero and Aubameyang, and I think I'd probably favour Aubameyang given what fixtures he's got after that. I think Sheffield United I have given a bit of thought to because I've written quite a few pieces on them, and I think I'll eschew Lundstram, for example, because you're not quite sure if he's definitely going to be starting. I know he got his place back in game week 29, but we don't know if that's still going to be the case. And probably focus more on John Egan, who is the the central centre half of the three at the back. So he doesn't do any of the overlap like the other two do, and he's not a wing back, so he's not expending as much energy. So I think I'll settle on him, and he's cheap enough to be benched in later game weeks as well. Yeah, I guess Grealish is an obvious target for the double game week as well, because he's not only talismanic, he very rarely comes off. He plays 90 minutes to even the most congested sets of fixtures over Christmas. So Villa's going to be playing him in both games. As poor as they've been, you still expect him to pick up maybe an assist or two. I guess differentials for that game week, I think McGinn is something Joe mentioned before. He was like Grealish. He was starting every single game week, playing 90 minutes in most of them up until he got injured. So it's whether he's fit enough, I guess, to be thrown straight back in. He was fit just about before the Carabao Cup final in March. He just wasn't quite match ready. So he's interesting. I think he's 5.4 now. So
yeah, he is 5.4.
yeah, someone I consider, I think, for the double. As limited as Aston Villa are and as poor as the fixtures are thereafter. But I think Sheffield United defence and probably avoid the rest of their side, apart from maybe Fleck. City, I think I'll wait close at the deadline and hear what Pep's got to say. Arsenal, Aubameyang, probably definitely. And then, Villa, Grealish, and possibly someone like McGinn or Stamata. But I'll have to give it a lot of thought between now and next Wednesday. I think in terms of differentials for the rest of the season, two players I've been writing about recently who are back from injury. So Son and Christian Pulisic, I think, are two to watch. I think obviously Chelsea's got a lot of options out wide, but just watch the off-the-field issues there, Chelsea, because William Pedro out of contract, Hudson-Odoi with a court thing. Pulisic could get an extended run, and he looked decent, if a bit frustrating, in FPL towards Christmas. And Son has been exceptional, really, even though his individual performances and his sort of real-life performances haven't been that good. He's still been delivering, and he's averaging 6.5 points per game under Mourinho, which is way better than Kane and Ali. So I think I might look towards him after the double game week.
Yeah, Son is one I'm looking at. I should say as well, there's going to be loads more videos to come between now and the start of the season. Obviously, we've only got 9 days to go, and this is a reaction video, so we haven't given any thought to it. But obviously, there's a lot to think. There's a lot to think about now. Now we know what's going to happen, so we are going to hopefully get Neale back on for a kind of rate my team. But I do have one last question. Again, might not give it a huge amount of thought, but in terms of picking players going forward, obviously, after the season's gone halfway through, we've got half season's worth of stats, etc. We can use them. We can look at fixtures, team form and stuff. How much of that is going to play into your selection? Because there's players like Son who have been really good under Mourinho, but not necessarily been in our teams throughout the whole season. Sterling's stats are really good in terms of expected goal involvement, but he really has kind of flopped this season. Do you feel like this is kind of a clean slate now, or are you still going to basically go with what we know, and that is who's played well already this season, just back them and then reassess after a few more weeks?
I think that's what you've got to do. I think you've got to go with what you know. Yes, the stats will be flawed because I don't think there is such a thing as form now. What you can do is see which players have been getting into good positions over a consistent period of time. You think that wouldn't change. For example, Pulisic has been good at getting inside the 6-yard box. You think that wouldn't change that much. We don't know how many shots in the box he's going to have. We don't know how many games he's going to start. But certain patterns like you spot, we know that Kane's going to be dropping deep, for example. So there's got to be reservations about him. So I think stuff like that is still valid. I just wouldn't put the entire weight of my team selection behind that. I think a lot of stuff's got to factor in. For example, stuff we've already talked about, such as security of starts, or what we think is security of starts. Fixtures as well, they play a big part in my selection. So if I see, for example, Wolves have got the 3 worst teams with defensive records this year, I think they kept 1 clean sheet between them in 2020. So I'm going to go with Jimenez. I'm not really looking at his stats per se in the last, say, 6 game weeks. I just know he's got 3 decent fixtures against Premier League strugglers, and he has been a Neale's pick this season under Santos. So it's kind of a mix of stuff. I think you're drawing on every bit of information you possibly can, stats including, without paying too much attention to stuff that happened in February and March.
Yeah, 3 months ago at this point. Yeah, I mean, Wolves are definitely a team. I'm tempted to triple up on either Saiss Doherty and Jimenez, or Jimenez, Jota and Saiss, something like that. But okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for joining me, Neale. Thanks for everyone for watching. Make sure to give the video a like. Make sure to subscribe. Like I said, there's videos. I can't remember how many are on the list, but there's a lot of videos coming for the rest of this week, right up until the 17th of June. We'll be back with another Scoutcast as well on Monday, I believe. So make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. I'll say goodbye, Neale. Thanks for joining me.
Cheers, Andy. See you next time.
And we'll see you again soon.